Many people are aware of the SWOT acronym: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. However, they are often less clear about how these factors are identified or how they could be used once the SWOT analysis is complete. In many respects, the SWOT analysis is a summary technique for identifying the external opportunities and threats to the organization and the internal strengths and weaknesses of the organization itself. An external analysis tool, such as PESTLE, helps identify opportunities and threats. For example, the possible enactment of employment legislation by the government, covered by the L for legal in PESTLE, might threaten a company's profitability or even its business practice. Similarly, the emergence of more functional tablets might offer the company a potential new route to market. And here, we would be considering the T for technology in PESTLE. Porter's 5 Forces framework also provides a potential source for identifying external factors which might affect the organization. For example, it explicitly considers the threat of new entrants into the market and the threat of the emergence of new substitute products. These are both explicitly considered in the framework. Generally, external forces are largely outside of our control. We might try and lobby the government to discourage them from enacting legislation, and we could attempt to deter potential entrants into new markets by starting a price war. However, ultimately, most of these external factors are outside of our control. We need to acknowledge them and potentially react to them. In contrast, the strengths and weaknesses of an organization are largely within our control. We can ensure that our strengths are maintained, for example, by marketing initiatives that uphold the strength of our brand and make sure that our weaknesses are addressed, perhaps by employing better people or engineering more efficient processes. Strengths and weaknesses are identified through internal analysis techniques, such as MOST and the resource audit of both tangible and intangible assets. Once complete, the SWOT analysis can form the basis for discussing the strategic direction of the organization. The so-called TOES matrix builds directly on the information about the strategic position of the organization summarized in the SWOT analysis. Each quadrant of the TOES matrix is used to generate strategic options that address a combination of an internal factor, a strength or a weakness, and an external factor, an opportunity or threat, to provide a potential strategic direction for the organization. The top left-hand quadrant, SRO, Strengths and Opportunities, generate options that use the internal strengths of the organization to take advantage of an external opportunity. For example, an organization's competencies in rubber technology might be used to exploit the opportunities of a new emerging market in flat roof refurbishment. The bottom left-hand quadrant, ST, Strengths and Threats, will help generate options that use the organization's strengths to avoid or tackle threats. For example, instigating price cuts to exploit the strength of the company's profit margin and deter potential entrants into the marketplace. In the top right-hand quadrant, we look at generating options that take advantage of opportunities by overcoming our weaknesses. For example, a university might address long-term weakness in learning technology to allow them to bid for an increased number of worldwide open learning contracts. And finally, in the bottom right quadrant, WT, Weaknesses and Threats, options might be generated that minimize weaknesses in the face of potential threats. For example, an organization might want to consider a niche strategy, perhaps providing tires for classic race cars, which avoids the potential threat of the major tire companies and means that the organization's weaknesses, such as a lack of global presence and few economies of scale, do not matter too much. Hence, SWOT represents a very useful intermediate framework between strategic position and strategic direction. Not only does it summarize the strategic position from both an external and internal perspective, it also provides a basis for moving on from that position, generating options from strategic direction which can be subsequently subjected to detailed analysis. Thank you for watching this video. For more great videos like this, please subscribe to our channel.